of Hercules' Legendary Journeys, I want to address a little technical difficulty that I had when I was getting footage for this review. So you have a special memory card for my Nintendo 64 that's basically 4 memory cards in one. You turn this little knob here and it switches between the 4 different files. And when I was doing my initial playthrough of Hercules, I made copies of my save data to 2 different portions of this memory card. Basically, I created clones of my save file, saved at 2 specific points in the game so that I could show you the 2 most bullshit boss fights. But, for reasons unknown to me, I don't know if the card is defective, if the files didn't transfer properly, or if the game is just broken, those files would not load. Hercules would not acknowledge that there were save files on this memory card. So, to get the footage to use for this review, I had to play through the entire game, start to finish, a second time. I'm just wearing the pumpkin hat because I needed to pick me up. I'm telling you this because I want you people to appreciate that. Hephaestus tells you that you need the torch of Prometheus to access the first labyrinth. You talk to a guy in Alpsius and give him a letter from his cousin Antrachus, and he supposes that maybe he should give you something to repay you, and he gives you the torch. Asshole, I need the torch to open a labyrinth and save the world, and you're not going to give me the torch, which your boss specifically told you to do, unless I give you a note saying your cousin's dog had puppies. I should bash your head in, you stupid shit! And by the way, if you didn't talk to every single person in the first village and get the letter, guess what? You've got about 15 minutes of hiking to do so you can talk to every damn person in the village, reading all of their pointless text until you find the right person. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the only power-up that you get in the entire game, a coat that lets you walk to and from Alpsius. The game we're ripping off has magic swords, power gloves, a grappling hook, but screw all that noise, we've got a coat! And the coat has no sleeves, so it wouldn't do shit to actually keep him warm. It's an actual maze, gameplay that is stimulating, I don't believe it! And then you get to the third Minotaur, and all that credit I gave the game for finally doing something that could be construed as fun gets flushed down the toilet. See, it takes about 7 million hits to kill this thing, while you die in about 6. The Minotaur uses a lot of unchoreographed attacks, and you can lose a quarter of your health with 0 warning, and the Minotaur blocks most of your attacks, and he charges at you every time that he does. Even the Earth Potions, which completely wrecked the shit of the other 2 Minotaurs, take away like a millimeter of the bastard's health at a time. Even the camera is against you in this fight, because there are about 4 locations the camera is programmed to snap to in this room, so about half the time you won't even be able to see him. If you screw up a few times, you lose, and you have to go through the whole dungeon again, just to get another crack at the boss! God! Damn it! Even using the circle around it punch strategy that makes sure you don't get hit, it still takes forever to kill the Minotaur, and you die if you screw up just once or twice. It doesn't matter how many times you practice this fight or how good you are at the game, look how long it takes to drain the Minotaur's health! You not only have to be flawless, you have to be flawless for like 20 straight minutes. That or get a Game Shark with an invincibility code. That works too. I'd also like to point out that this game has 7 bosses, and 3 of them are exactly the same boss, just with incrementally more health. So now all 3 Minotaurs are dead. Shit! So now all 3 Minotaurs are dead, and the only place I haven't gone is the Centaur, so I guess there's no way around it. It's time to figure out how the hell this thing works. Before we switch characters, I guess now's as good a time as any to say that you never play as Iolaus again through the rest of the game. Iolaus has absolutely no... The sick thing is, even if you lock onto an enemy and aim at exactly the right angle, your arrow still misses! It either flies an inch to the right of the enemy, or it phases right through them without hurting them. It's freaking bullshit! The only way to get past these enemies is to use the sniper mode, or, and I think you'll agree with this strategy, declare screw it and run away. It's not like there's any reason you need to kill any of these things anyway. There's only like 9 enemies in this section. It makes you wonder why they even bothered to add this segment with the Centaur when it's so damn short. Wait, are those harpies? Holy crap, there are now 3 types of enemies in this game! It's a miracle! Oh shit, now I have to fight the Titan using the Centaur. The premise behind the Titan fight is pretty simple. Shooting the Titan does nothing. You have to shoot 8 targets that circle the top of the room. Not a problem, I'll just use the sniper mode. What the crap, you can't use the sniper mode in this boss fight?
Shit, and you can't use the lock-on mode either. There's no targeting bar to tell you how to aim your shot. So the only way to hit these targets is to circle around the Titan and line yourself up with a target, then stop and try to line up a shot by just firing arrows at random angles until one of them finally hits the target. But how the hell am I supposed to stop and line up a shot with an arrow when the Titan launches an attack every 4 seconds? Just like the third Minotaur, the Titan can kill you in just a few hits, so if you screw up a few times, you're dead. You can't move while aiming, so your only hope of getting a good hit on a target is to run like hell until the Titan launches an attack, and then you have about 3 seconds to stop, aim, fire an arrow at a target before you have to start running again, and because you have absolutely no idea what elevation the arrow needs to be fired at to hit the target, on top of having almost no time to aim your shot before the Titan gets you, your chances of actually scoring a hit are about 1,000,000 to screw you, and you have to hit each target 3 times, so this boss fight takes 4 freaking ever, and if you screw up once or twice, you're dead! How the hell am I supposed to do this? God damn it! Bitch! Sometimes if you're standing in one magic pixel of a spot, the targeting bar will appear and tell you how you need to fire an arrow to hit the target, but this thing only pops up like 1 out of every 10 times, if you're lucky, and I'm guessing it's due to a game glitch, because I can't imagine how the hell the developers expect you to beat this thing otherwise. And speaking of glitches, you're gonna love this. Even if you line up a shot and miraculously hit the target, half the time, the game doesn't register that you hit the fucking target! That arrow was practically a bullseye, and it didn't do any damage! This game is dog shit! No, this game isn't even dog shit. It's dog shit that the dog then proceeded to eat, and then the dog got diarrhea, and then he shat it out again. I mean, the credits of this game list about 10 QA testers. Did none of them feel like pointing out, hey, you might want to get on this, but the arrows don't freaking work! Even with the Game Shark, this boss fight still took me like 20 minutes to finish, and I never would have beaten this stupid thing without it. This game deserves some kind of medal. I haven't gotten this pissed at a game in a long time. You have to fire 24 arrows, assuming the game actually registers them all, one at a time, running constantly, given no time to aim said arrows, with no idea how you need to aim each arrow without extensive trial and error, all basically without getting hit. The level of precision this game expects you to have is just ludicrous. Although, in the name of fairness, when I was capturing footage for this game, I figured out the deal with the targets. The targeting bar will appear if you shoot the targets in one specific order, and the targets are in no way indicated which order you're supposed to shoot them. If you don't realize that and you shoot the targets out of order, that's what causes the game to glitch and the targeting bar to only appear when it feels like it. That's bull-honky! There's absolutely no reason why the targeting bar can't just appear whenever you're lined up with a target. The people who made this game had no idea what the hell they were doing! And isn't that just my luck? Playing the game on my own time, I fought the Titan about 6 times, and the targeting bar didn't work once, but I start recording, and the game finally decides to work properly, and now I have to carefully edit my footage, or else I look like a dumbass complaining there's no bar when the bar is right there. Go straight to hell, you broken down piece of crap. And now I'm going back to Santa Manicus to save, because if I fall trying to cross that chasm and I have to go back to before the boss fight, I swear to God, people will die! Once you kill the Titan, you go talk to Hephaestus, and he forges the medallion of Zeus so you can finally go to Mount Olympus. The pathway to Olympus is blocked by 6 shrines that require medallions belonging to 6 gods. You get the other 5 medallions by finding shrines in major villages and paying 100 coins at each. So if you haven't been collecting those over the course of the game, then congratulations! You get to do a ton of pointless time-killer backtracking and fight basic enemies until you save up a grand total of 500 coins, and then revisions and you save, you're stuck. There's nothing you can do other than start the game over and come to Olympus better prepared next time. Trust me, you're not going to do that. This shit ain't worth it. I admit, I had thrown caution to the wind at this point since I have Game Shark codes for unlimited health and potions, but it's still a dick move that you can't get equipped for the final boss unless you get equipped about an hour ahead of time. And how come there's no tavern or booze on Mount Olympus? It's called Dionysus, the god of wine and merrymaking! So you put your 4 Chaos Emeralds on 4 pedestals, and, of course, you aren't told which one goes on which pedestal, so you just have to try every post until you find which gem goes where. You finally encounter Ares, and he behaves exactly like every other standard enemy in the game. Yep, you've been on a legendary journey to confront the god of war himself, and he's just a standard goon with a larger health bar. Eventually, he spawns 2 clones of himself, a brilliant tactic stolen from the Shredder in the 1989 Ninja Turtles arcade game. When the only idea you have to spice up your final boss fight way through the game. I've never played a game with a story this poorly told before. Everything about this game just screams out no effort. Every second reeks of not giving a shit. That or Player 1 had no idea what they were doing and should never have been let 100 miles near a Nintendo 64. The only reason this game isn't remembered as one of the shittiest games on the Nintendo 64, let alone worst games of all time, is because it's a ripoff of Zelda, and gamers, the sheep that they are, love Zelda so much that anything that in any way vaguely resembles Zelda must also be great, because anything less would imply that Zelda is not the greatest thing in the history of the universe. The only legendary journey this game can take you on is to the local landfill when you throw it the hell away, but that's still too good for it. Okay, let's get this over with. I don't want to waste one more second of your time or mine that I need to talking about this terrible game. Wreck-It Ralph is one of the cheapest, most we did not give a damn games that I have ever seen, and I refuse to put more effort into reviewing this game than the programmers put into making it. This was another library rental, in case you couldn't tell. If you haven't seen the movie, Ralph is a video game character who lives in an arcade, the villain of a game called Fix-It Felix Jr. Tired of being a villain, he sets out to try and win a hero's medal by beating a Gears of War clone called Hero's Duty. He ends up stuck in a girly Mario Kart clone called Sugar Rush, and accidentally unleashes a horde of cybugs, which are monsters/viruses, it's not made clear, into the arcade. The movie also has a lot of great messages about responsibility, self-acceptance, and learning to live in your own skin that are completely absent from the video game. In the video game, which takes place after the movie, Ralph brings a Cybug egg to watch a Sugar Rush race. God only knows why, and he drops the egg and Cybug's in. You have to press the B button, which is underneath the controller and super awkward to press when you're holding the controller this way. You have to press the A button to switch characters, which requires you to take your thumb off the control pad to press the button, which also feels awkward. And to operate switches or repair consoles, you have to press and hold the minus button, which is also out of reach. The controls are just awkward. I know they were trying to emulate retro games, but these controls would have been so much more comfortable if they just let you use a nunchuck so you have more buttons in easy reach. That's honestly all there is to say about the game. It's a bare-bones basic platformer with bland enemies that's way too easy, and the controls are awkward. But the game is at least playable, and it's not torture like some of the games I review, but there's one big thing that really sinks the game. Guess how long it took me to beat the game? Ballpark it within a half hour or so. 6 hours? 5 hours? Surely it's not below 4 hours. That's like the absolute minimum for games these days. You want to know how long it took me to beat the game? 1 hour and 28 minutes! It took an hour. I am a big fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I really liked the original series, even though I was too young to remember most of it. Loved the 2003 series, and played a good chunk of the video games. Konami's Ninja Turtles games were, with one or two exceptions, all pretty good. The beat-em-ups on the NES and Super Nintendo are classics that hold up to this day, and the 3 licensed games on the GameCube are pretty well made and fun to play. Hell, Battle Nexus and Mutant Nightmare are the only GameCube games I own that are 2 discs long. That's not the effort you find in licensed games. Konami always treated the series with love and respect. Ubisoft did not. Ubisoft's Ninja Turtles games were a decent Prince of Persia clone and a shitty, blatant cash grab Super Smash Bros. Clone. At some point, the series passed hands to Activision, and the games got even worse. Activision released Out of the Shadows and Nickelodeon's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Out of the Shadows was apparently bad enough to crack Angry Joe's Worst Games of the Year list, and the Nickelodeon game is a library rental. Yeah, I'm journeying into the darkness here, and beyond the darkness, beat-em-ups that the Turtles were famous for back in the day, but that's probably giving the game too much credit. The difference between this game and those arcade games is, and I know this will be a foreign concept to most gamers, the older games were hard, so that you had to practice and put as much effort into combat as you could, or else you weren't going to get to the end without spending a fortune on continues. This game is so easy and the enemies so ineffective that you'll very rarely lose a life and never get game over. Even if you are close to losing a life, all 4 turtles have their own health bars and you can switch between them anytime you want. So if you're playing alone, you basically have 4 health bars. In a more direct reference to the arcade games, you can throw an enemy into the screen. The first time it happened, I laughed. The second, third, fourth, fifth, and 15th times it happened, I was yelling, "Get out of the way! I can't see what I'm doing!" Level levels have entire sections copy-pasted. There are 2 levels aboard the turtle van where the entire level is a small rectangle while the same background scrolls over and over again. Enemies give you a full 2 seconds advance notice before using a powerful attack. Your attacks will